First things first, unrelated to the topic of the video. 1. The yellow is back. Because I forgot. Some fluff had apparently happened on Wolfgang's channel. Linuxy Tech YouTuber. And I was like, oh, hang on a minute. I normally do one of my nails yellow. He'd painted his nails black. And people start calling him names. So, good job. I'm a prick. Got over it. Yeah, remembered now. Yellow. It's like, I'm supposed to be doing yellow. Thing the second. I got carted by a fucking frog. Monster Hunter Rise. First cut. I've taken out like 15, maybe 20 bigger monsters. And then this fucking frog thing just... Admittedly, I was being a bit cocky and it just... health badge. And I was like... Ah! Like, just one time it came close to doing me in. And it just... Oh, I was such a dick. Apparently, monsters in Monster Hunter have big moves. Once upon a time, things used to just pin you to the floor and wreck you. Now, they like throw you in the air and... Ah! That was a surprise. It happened. I got murdered. Cut the 1. Right. The actual topic of this video is really more to do with my ignorance of a topic and asking people's opinions on it. So, quite recently, I started looking into running things in Docker containers. Like server application-y things. I'd heard of Docker before, but I'd never really used it. I mean, I was like, well, why don't I just run whatever the thing is pretty much on bare metal or in a virtual machine? So realistically, so if you have a machine, a PC, or a computer server, whatever, and you run the program directly on the server, that's bare metal. Okay, so like you launch the thing direct, like how you would on like your operating system now. You don't go into another program to open up a program. You just open the program and there it is, kind of thing. I would normally just say run things bare metal, because that's a thing. Or as I say, like just run a virtual machine so you can have it in a nice container and it's kind of safe and that, but safer, it's locked into its own thing, separate from your main operating system. So if anything goes wrong, you just nuke that container, kind of thing. And so I was looking into installing some different applications, some different server applications, and a few options kept popping up, and I was like, look, I can, I was just doing things the way I've always done them, which is just literally, as I say, run things bare metal. And I was like, well, hey, you could just install Docker and then through Docker install the individual programs that you want to run, and then they're containerized. But it's proven to be a bit of a pain in my ass, if I had to be honest with you. As I said, I'm just making this video, because of my ignorance. What is it? Why is it that people use Docker? Really? I mean, is it for containerization, isolation of a program or something? Is it because it's so Docker? I guess has all of the you have the application and all of the things that it needs to run in that little box, in that little packet container, as it were. Then that gets stuck on your machine, and you configure the bits that go in it, and then it runs separate from the main machine. So it is kind of like having a virtual machine, but it's not a virtual machine. It's its own kind of like a... like I said, I don't know, but just so I started playing with it today, and there were a couple of things that I couldn't get them to work. It was really annoying. So I wanted to run a TeamSpeak server, and I'd done TeamSpeaky stuff before, and it didn't seem all that. It wasn't that difficult. 'Cause I mean, I literally set up a TeamSpeak server a couple of weeks ago on one of our other machines, bare metal. No problem. I was just like, there you go, click, run that, and it's done. And this Docker image, I just couldn't get it to start. Now, it should be said that I'm also using a GUI to do the Docker thing. There's the setup that I'm using has a nice little graphical user interface, and you just go, I'm going to go to this thing, and you can, this gives you a search box, and you type in what you want, like TeamSpeak or Minecraft or Pornhub. I don't know. Pornhub doesn't have a Docker image. I don't think you can run your own instance, but whatever. Like, imagine different things like a web server, or as I said, like TeamSpeak, or like a game server. You can just like literally click the thing, and it will go, here it goes. We're gonna download an image, and then we're gonna turn that image. Is it turning the image into a container, or the container into an image? Based on what, and you can like change what you want to call it, and you can set different parameters for it, and then it will just run, and then you can access it on the device like it was your own server. But the GUI just seemed to make things really awkward. Like certain things just I couldn't quite get my head around how this GUI was supposed to work. Because if anyone's curious, I was on a Synology NAS. I was like, so I want to run TeamSpeak. There's the Docker image. Hit start. Fails. Okay. Start it again. Fails. Okay. Check the instructions. I've done what it's asking me to do, I think. Huh. I thought, what about Minecraft? Because we've also got a Minecraft server on the same machine that I run TeamSpeak on. Hit the thing. Failed. I've noticed a pattern here. Both of these things require you to accept a EULA, an end user license agreement. Could that be why they're failing? That there's not that there's something wrong with them, just that there's a EULA that I need to agree to. How do I do that? Where are the files actually stored? And I didn't know, and I couldn't find them, and it didn't really list anywhere that they were going to be. Admittedly, I didn't dig very deep into the manual kind of thing, or into any kind of instructions or any web searches. I just couldn't really find what it was I was looking for. I was really, really puzzled. And I was like, right, sod this. I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna SSH. I'm gonna go to the command line and log into the Synology NAS, the server, through the command line in a terminal, and I'm gonna do it the same way that I do every other server install, through the command line. And I was like, right, so how do I do Docker installs for this thing through the command line? So I'm like, okay, hit the button, and then all of a sudden, because I've got the GUI open in another window, the thing that I just typed in comes up as an image, and it goes, bam, it started and it's turned off. Oh no, I tried to run one. I tried to run a container first, and it ran, and then it cancelled in the GUI. I was like, okay, cool. So then I did the other thing, and I was like, okay, so maybe this is how I can accept the EULA. There's like an extra command that an extra variable I can add into the string. Hit the button, and it worked. And then in the Docker GUI thing, there was the instance that I just made. There was the container that I just made. I was like, so that works. But am I going to have to do all of these things that require EULAs in the command line? Nextcloud, hit the button, and that went through just fine. I actually did Nextcloud yesterday because I'm setting up for my Pine phone for a little for the end of month internet detox. I'll talk about that at the end of the month. where I'm using the BlackBerry to get away from smartphones and stuff like that. I'm setting up, I'm preparing for potentially doing all of April using a Linux phone. But I wanted to have a Nextcloud instance that wasn't online. I wanted it to kind of be local. I mean, I could have done it online, but security kind of irks me a little bit. Like if it's gonna be a server online, I don't really want it to have any super personal information on it. So like I don't want to sync my contacts to something that I'm running myself, if you get what I mean. Because if I cock it up and it's completely vulnerable, then I don't want like all of the phone numbers of my contacts to go out. Like, you know, I don't want people to get hold of my family contacts and stuff like that. If my family were to give them to people, not a problem. But for someone to go and take them, that just having it online was just kind of a thing. But the Docker image of Nextcloud worked like that, not a problem. So I was like, okay, so how is this supposed to work? I can't figure out how to do what I just did there in the GUI. And so I looked at one of the images that I just set up, and it was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's an extra variable here that says, like Euler true. And I was like, oh, there's a thing here, and if I stop the image and click this and press that, it gives me this list. And if I click here, I can add in Euler true. Oh, so I can like put what is the variable here, and then the thing that I want to say like yes, no, or a number or whatever, put that here, and then it does as if I'd have typed it in the. Oh wow, it seemed like such a. My brain couldn't quite, because I don't know if all Docker instances come with a GUI. Like, if you install like Docker on a Raspberry Pi or something, is that mostly done on like a command line interface? Is that GUI? Do people prefer using it in a GUI? Is the GUI that I'm using unique to Synology? I don't actually know, but it just seemed like I was just running around in circles until I realized that it then added in the wrapper, the container that I got to work, ended up with the extra variable in it. And from that point on, I realized how to accept Eulers in these things. So I then got like a Minecraft server running, and then I got the TeamSpeak server running. And then I was like, wait, hang on a minute. How do I transfer? So where are the Docker files to get, so I can maybe open them up, might open up the container to put the old server information in. Because we've already got a Minecraft server over there, and my spuds have already been doing stuff on it. How do I get that into there? And I was just like, oh, where is all this stuff being stored? Is it just easier to do it yourself? Like literally, well, I personally, that's like I say, that's the way I like to do things. But like start it from scratch and go forward, so you know on your machine where Docker is installed and everything is located. Or do people prefer using a GUI? Why do people use Docker? I'm I'm puzzled. I kind of get it for containerization, compartmentalizing your applications and stuff, but just maybe it's just the way that I'm running it that's making it super awkward. I mean, I guess it is neat because I can just go, hey, I want to have a web server, and I hit the button, and then there's a web server on the thing, or hey, look, what's the name of the? I mean, I've got like there's an option on here to install like full blown Linux distros in a container on my thing, and I'm like, why would I do that? It's neat. There's even one for Valheim. Like I can hit this button and it will automatically pull down the Valheim server. So I can run a Valheim server on my NAS for whatever reason. I don't even think it's powerful enough to run half of this stuff, but the option is there. Because I mean, surely it doesn't make it any more secure, just being in a container. I mean, it's still very much hackable based on if the let's say there's a vulnerability in the application itself, then that's still going to make the container hackable, right? But then I guess it's easier to then like nuke and repay it. Maybe? You don't have to worry about like because if it's on bare metal, like it's open to everything else, and so if they get into that, then, but then there have also been those issues where virtual machines have had root escalation vulnerabilities that have allowed people to. I think I'm going outside of the scope of this video, but I'm curious why do so just please just answer the question, like why do people use Docker? If you use Docker, how do you use it? What do you use it on? Recommendations, tips, tricks, just because it seems really cool. I like the fact that the feature is built into a NAS of all things. It's weird. So I say if I can kind of retire some of the hardware that we've got here just to run some of it off of the NAS, but then I'm worried like if that's running off of a NAS and that NAS has got all of my other data on it, then but then this is just showing my ignorance because surely that would make it if it's in a container it would make it more secure and then I don't want any of this stuff pointed to the internet either. Like I guess if I were to go Docker image, I would have them on their own individual thing, not including my family file server or whatever. But yeah, just I'm having a fun little adventure in using Docker to get some things ready for screwing around next month with a Linux phone. It's fun to quickly deploy different instances of things, I guess. Like, so for example, if I cock up a Minecraft server, or if I cock up a server install or whatever, I can literally just delete the container, just right click it, delete it, and it's gone. And then within like a second or two, go just put another container there of that thing, and it's there. Like, I was like, oh, let's do. Once I realized where I had to put in the thing to make the EULA get accepted, rather than going into the command line and doing it that way, which, God, which that was easy. Like, I found that really super easy. For some reason, I find GUIs to be kind of awkward. Sometimes they're not quite as intuitive as you'd think they are. And I'm a kind of techno guy. So, I'm kind of techie. I get it. I get how to log into a terminal. I know my way around the command line reasonably well. I can, I can do all this stuff. Just that GUI, just ugh. But like as I was saying, as I got the, if I was like, let's install Minecraft Java and Minecraft Bedrock, and it was like, do this, container 1, container 2 of server 1, server 2. And then say, like, accept the EULA, start. And within, like, literally, that's how long it took. They were ready. They were actually ready. I wonder if that's the kind of thing like what Linode has. So, like, Linode is a VPS company. It's a server company. And you can rent like an instance off them. And they also have like one-click installers for stuff as well. And that's kind of what got me into looking into this whole Docker thing as well, I suppose. In that on Linode, I can go, well, hey, I want to set up a Valheim server, which I can apparently do on my NAS. And it's like, yeah, just click this button, and we will install the server, and then you just put in like passwords and usernames and stuff, and then bickety bam, job done. Usually, I would just say like, just give like my normal routine would be go to Linode and say I want a Debian or Ubuntu server, just nothing in it, spin it up, username, password, job done, install whatever I wanted, so like a web server, Gemini server, TeamSpeak, and then manually configure like firewalls and all that kind of stuff. But they have, they actually have these options to do a lot of this work for you. Is that part of the appeal to the Docker thing? Like I said, I guess I've kind of answered that myself because, as I say, just to spin up some of those servers, just literally click, type in that little variable to say that you accept the EULA, and bam, they were there. If I screw it up, I can literally, I can clone it. I can just go right click, copy, paste. So I've got a backup of it, or right click, duplicate. it will then make a copy of it, and then if I stuff it, I can just go, well, not a big deal. There's a copy of it. Well, I guess I've really just answered my own question, making this entire video kind of pointless. What's the recommended platforms for Docker? Does anyone else use them on like Synology NASes or whatever? Does anyone use those on servers rather than using stuff like, say, Linode's one-click installer things? Because that's one of the things I noticed. They were like, Linode says, we don't offer TeamSpeak. You can do Valheim and CSGO and all these other things, and Docker, but no TeamSpeak. And I was like, well, I guess I could just install, I can use their like one-click Docker installer and then do TeamSpeak in that, I suppose. Actually, no, I could do that anyway. I might do that. But do you know what I mean? Like, why not have a container for something like TeamSpeak, but have Docker? Why have an instance for Minecraft if they have Docker? Anyway, it's a fun little thing to play with. Weird that I haven't tried it before, though. I kind of really avoided it at one point because I think there was a Docker install for, was it Open Media Vault for Raspberry Pi? It's just like, oh yeah, just get the Docker image and hit the thing, and that'll install all the thing, and then you just do this and do that, and you're ready to go. And I was like, but for me, I was just like, I want to install it bare metal. Why don't you just let me install it bare metal? And then I just kind of went, don't want to touch that. Am I daft? I must be daft. Anyways, I'm gonna head off. Yeah, share your experiences. Let me know what is the thing. Why is this a groove? What do you use it for? How do you use it? Where do you tend to deploy things? Any tips and tricks? Is there a standardized GUI for it, or is the thing that I'm using specific to Synology? Thing, stuff, and reasons. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Monster Hunter and prepping for the internet detox to end. So I'll do that video on the 31st. The whole how it was to go a month without a smartphone. My smartphone is literally just sat on the table over there, hooked up. And there's the BlackBerry, and there's the Linux phone. Surrounded by fluff. I just want to be able to sync up my contacts if I had to be honest. That's it. Just like write out a bunch of contacts and just sync them when I'm in the house. It's the whole adventure. So, hope you're well. And I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one.